Welcome everyone to today's Spaces. I'm Pete Humiston, Head of Research at DeFi Development Corp. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about our latest International Treasury Accelerator Initiative, DFDV Japan, which we just announced yesterday. That is launched in partnership with Superteam Japan, marking the first Solana-focused digital asset treasury in Japan. This announcement also builds on top of our growing global footprint and falls under our ongoing Treasury Accelerator initiative, like I mentioned. Not only that, but it also highlights our mission to expand Solana's international reach across key markets. Joining me today, we've got Parker White, COO and CIO of DFDV. We've got Dan Kang, newly appointed Chief Strategy Officer at DFDV. And we've got Hisashi Oki from Superteam Japan, where he is the country lead. I'm super excited because not only do we get to talk about DFDV Japan, but this is also in many ways yet another Kraken reunion. Everyone here on the speaking panel is formerly one spin at Kraken, which is cool. We'll go ahead. We'll, of course, unpack this partnership, explain what it means for Solana, the Japanese market, as well as DFDV shareholders. But, of course, before we begin, just a quick note, today's discussion may include forward-looking statements. These involve risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially from those projected. For a fuller discussion of these risks, please refer to our most recent SEC filings, including our Form 8K related to the financing. We don't undertake any obligation to update these forward-looking statements. So, with that said, guys, how's everyone doing? I'd like to say GM, but I guess that only applies to Hisashi.
That's right. It's 8 a.m. in Tokyo, so yeah, just start of the day.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you, and it's kind of fun to be doing one of these in the evening for us in the U.S. But yeah, with that said, let's just jump right into it. Parker or DK, whichever one of you guys wants to take this one. Maybe we can just start off by talking a little bit about what's really driven this global expansion. As I mentioned, opening things up, DFDV Japan is our second international treasury accelerator in Asia. Why was Japan the next logical step here?
I can jump in on that one. I think it's not lost on anybody what Metaplanet's done. In some ways, Metaplanet has even more cult following than MicroStrategy. I was just talking to a pretty popular MicroStrategy podcaster, and he did mention he's got a MicroStrategy bag. Obviously, he does a daily show on MicroStrategy, but he said his larger bag is Metaplanet. So, I think MicroStrategy obviously paved the way. But it's basically impossible for another Bitcoin vehicle, in my view, for another Bitcoin vehicle in the US to follow MicroStrategy because they're so dominant. So unfortunately, what that means is all lessons learned from MicroStrategy cannot be applied to a fresh, pristine Bitcoin DAT in the US because there's just no chance. And so I think what Metaplanet has done is basically speed run the Bitcoin playbook in a free and open market, where there's no big gorilla, big dog already there. And so I think their growth has been, nothing short of remarkable, but kind of candidly what you might expect from a team that, has an example to follow versus, Saylor was just figuring it out himself. So we are super excited taking, all the learnings from MicroStrategy, all of our own learnings, and applying those to the Japanese market, a market that's in many ways more crypto forward than the US. I mean, a lot of the early crypto regulations came out of Japan. Obviously, Mt. Gox is based in Japan. I mean, a lot of the very early innovation in crypto came out of Japan. And so to the extent that we can, launch a vehicle in that market, a tax advantage vehicle in that market, we think there's a lot of upside potential. We joked around with Hisashi, like, who knows, maybe DFDV Japan, eclipses DFDV US in terms of size and SOL on the balance sheet and all those metrics. And then maybe we need to go work for him or something.
Yeah, I would just to add a couple things here from my IR/institutional lens. It's pretty clear, at least among Japanese institutions, that there is um, your appetite for I'm just going to say crypto exposure in general, but certainly digital asset treasury companies, not just because of Metaplanet's like almost 500% trailing 12-month performance, but um, I would say that the attitude among institutions more broadly has been trending up and to the right in terms of positive sentiment. So some stats that I thought were interesting from Nomura, like more than 50% of Japanese institutions intend to invest in crypto at some point over the next 3 years. And I believe the target allocation among those fund managers who responded to this survey, the target allocation of the portfolio is somewhere around 2 to 5%, which I don't know, maybe for us crypto degens doesn't seem like a lot, but for a traditional fund manager is actually a pretty significant amount. So that's at least in my view, a pretty positive sign for DATs in general. And the second component I would add to this is that um, despite the I'm going to say overall rise in rates in Japan so far this year, DATs still offer, I'm going to say, superior yield or superior flavor of credit instruments compared to what you've been able to get traditionally in that market. It's part of why Metaplanet has been so successful. Dylan was actually out at the Coinbase institutional conference earlier this year, citing that exact dynamic as a really compelling reason for that market being attractive. And you know, I think with a Solana DAT in particular, that dynamic is only going to be more pronounced. Um, yeah, I think that's all I would add to that.
Yeah, great take. And it's kind of funny, like I feel like people often forget this, but Parker, to your earlier point, like Japan is really like the crypto OG country in a lot of ways. And it seems like they've always been doing a better job, at least in the US, which I mean, I guess the bar from the US standpoint is pretty low, but just from a regulatory standpoint, continue to push forward and move ahead. So yeah, totally makes sense why Japan is like a next logical step. I guess on that note too, like again, DFDV Japan is the second expansion in Asia. We've of course done a few other things under the Treasury Accelerator, but it would be great, maybe Parker, if you could kind of go in and explain, like, what does it exactly mean to launch another Treasury Accelerator in a new country? What is it that we provide, and maybe DK, if you want to hit on like what makes DFD Japan unique compared to other previous initiatives, that'd be great too.
Sure. Yeah. So, what I feel like we bring to the table, although I'd love to hear Hisashi's thoughts, maybe being a little on the other side of the table. And I think it's obvious to everybody, Hisashi is, going to be leading DFDV Japan. But, I think what we bring to the table is in some ways kind of a DAT playbook, or a DAT in a box kind of thing, where, we've got a number of investors that have made a lot of money on DFDV. I've actually, I was doing a little poking around on Bloomberg and discovered that DFDV is the #1 performing stock in the US in 2025, which is pretty wild on both the Nasdaq and the NYSE. And so, we've got a lot of happy investors that want to do deals that we're behind. We can bring kind of, some of the marketing playbook to the table. People like our website and our metrics and transparency there. We can bring that to the table. A lot of our banking relationships. There's just a lot of things that we can leverage that make a lot of sense rather than trying to, reinvent the wheel. I mean, we've built a pickup truck here. And so someone needs to move, like they can just borrow our pickup truck instead of like building a new pickup truck first. And so the hope is that by partnering with us, we can basically launch a vehicle in a country and catapult it to a dominant size such that nobody else tries to follow. And it can have a metaplanet type escape velocity moment where it's the only vehicle, the only viable vehicle, the dominant vehicle, because we go so fast and rely on that experience. And then that preserves NAV premiums. When there's lots of vehicles, NAV premiums tend to contract. When there's one dominant vehicle, NAV premiums tend to remain elevated. So, there's kind of this whole suite, this whole package that we bring to the table, and we hope that it'll help us really, or these vehicles really go fast and reach that dominant position quicker.
Yeah, I'd actually love Hisashi's maybe take on this too, particularly working with us over the over the last few weeks on this.
Hi guys. Yes. Yeah. I think I guess the moment for the Japanese market regarding the launch of Soldat treasury company is like really right. It's a right moment. Especially I'm going as you guys talked about, we have Metaplanet as a success model. It's been just like 1.5 years since Metaplanet really started doing BTC that, and recently having a bit hard time, but still about around 500% up for the past year. And then certainly like Japanese investors excited about this new DAT model. And then I think also the Japanese like Pete said, I think Japan is kind of a crypto OG country. We had Mt. Gox, as Pete mentioned. We had like lots of like leading crypto players actually living in Japan and building something like back in 2014, 15, 16. But then we had a little bit of downtime, especially after the coin check hacking in 2018. And then regulation became really strict, and the public image of crypto has become really bad. People before the coin check hacking, the crypto was the kind of daily part of the daily conversation. You could hear like literally when commuting on train, people like just like normal people, like non-crypto people, even talk about Bitcoin price and those kind of things were happening like before that. But then that happened, and then everything became kind of went in a negative direction. But Japan is currently actually try to revive, and especially these Japanese financial institutions currently are super excited about the crypto again, and this time probably similar to US. They're so excited about stablecoin issuance and how they can bring traditional assets on chain, and those kind of this renewed excitement is happening in Japan. And the good thing this time is that probably similar to other countries, there was kind of institutional shift in 2019, 2020. Where people talked mostly about blockchain technology in Japan. Back then, it was like just about the technology. So like they didn't want to talk about Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana, those like crypto aspects, but they thought they could only use the technology part. But that was kind of the let's say the first institutional shift in Japan. But then that kind of momentum is gone, and then people realize that that's not the whole point, and it's kind of the those financial part and the money part has to be also like obviously taken into consideration like together. Like it's a kind of whole package. It's not something you can separate, like technology part and money part, and then just use the technology part. But it's a whole package, and then this institutional shift this time, like this year, it's like combined package. So we are, I think, in that sense, we are on the right track, I'd say. And then but DK is talking about the around like 50% of institutional investors show interest in the crypto investment, right, for the next like few years. And actually that research was conducted by Nomura Holdings, which is the Japan's basically largest investment bank and brokerage group. And last week, I believe, they announced that they're trying to get a crypto exchange license in Japan, Nomura Holdings and subsidiary Laser Digital. So obviously the traditional financial institutions are really taking serious about the Japanese market. So that also adds to the momentum. And also we have like LDP, Liberal Democratic Party, the leading Japanese political party, basically. They recently elected a new president, basically, Sanae Takaichi, and she's we don't know exactly. And probably she's going to be a new prime minister. We kind of have to see that, but and we don't know her policy detail on crypto yet. But basically, her message is that she wants to say that Japan is back, to the world, basically. So in many senses, it's this year we can say I mean Japan is back in the sense of crypto industry as well. And then that also and then the Japanese like stock market is super excited about this the election of this new president, Takaichi. It's called Takaichi Trade. So it's a good it's I would say it's the right moment.
Yeah,
Damn, I'm bullish.
yeah. I won't add much to that, other than to maybe contextualize the figure I gave before. I know I'd mentioned that in that Nomura survey, I think the target allocation in portfolios is 2 to 5%. And to put that number in perspective, I believe when the Bitcoin ETFs first came out, like BlackRock had basically initially indicated to its clients that and its sort of like target allocation for the BTC ETFs, that it was going to be somewhere around 1 to 2%, right? So there's a tendency, I would find, or at least I found among institutions, to start somewhere in that like maybe 50 basis points, 100 basis points, 150 basis points of exposure. And I don't know, that survey obviously indicated that among Japanese institutions, the intent is to go much, much higher. So pretty bullish overall.
Yeah, it sounds like this is that said, DFDV Japan coming out is coming out at like a really opportune time, and it's beneficial for both teams, DFDV and then of course Superteam Japan, who is really going to be championing DFDV Japan. I guess with that said, maybe it's a good opportunity for Hisashi, if you want to, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about Superteam Japan, and maybe even Superteam itself. I'm sure there's a lot of folks in the audience who, are big Solana fans, but maybe they're not familiar with the Superteam model. And then, yeah, maybe you can tell us more about Superteam Japan, your mission, the community, and yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Superteam Japan was launched like just one and a half years ago. Was launched in May 2024. Basically, our mission is to build a community and support startups, founders, builders. Those two are basically the main missions. And in Japan, for example, we have we run the largest Solana conference in Japan called Super Tokyo, and we have lots of community members, Superteam Japan member, who basically also fans of Solana. They the mission is to basically make them earn crypto. Meaning Superteam Japan is kind of a matchmaker who basically matches Japanese members with, let's say, like Solana project overseas. And if Solana project overseas want to do GTM in Japan, let's say they want to organize an event, or they want to write they want to publish content in Japanese. Superteam Japan members basically help execute that, right? And then Superteam Japan is just we don't take like how to say the we don't take like broker fees or anything, but just matching like those two parties, and then those like combined earnings of our members is something we call community GDP. So and then basically one of the mission, the community building is measured by this community GDP metrics. And the other one is startups, right? And as you guys know, Solana Colosseum hackathons, the currently the largest Solana hackathon. They have like 2 hackathons per year, usually in time of spring and autumn. And then currently Cypherpunk, the autumn one is basically happening now. And Superteam Japan's the other mission is to send as many Japanese startups as possible to the Colosseum Hackathon, and then make them win. And then basically the number of winners is something we try to increase. So those are basically like 2 missions. And recently, outside of those, like let's say like traditional Superteam missions, Japan particularly has been putting a lot of efforts on Japanese enterprise, business development support, and pretty much we have most of the good. We have like basically most of the connections in Japanese, like large corporations like banks, payments, telecoms, like some of the retail giants. We have we have basically organized study session for them if they are interested in using Solana for their crypto project, issuance of stable coins, security tokens still trending in Japan. Superteam Japan members basically help them understand the technology, the use case, and the business opportunities, what's happening in the US. Yeah, that's this enterprise business development is something. Yeah, we're doing this year additionally. And then I'd say it's been just like 1.5 years since Superteam Japan launched, and that means like I'd say it's been only 1.5 years since Solana officially entered the Japanese market. I would say, so it's like quite. It's still just 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year, and before that, we had voluntary communities of Solana, and they're great, of course. But the official like push by Solana Foundation was only like it's just the beginning, and still we have a lot more things to do in Japan. Basically, we need to talk a lot more about Japan in public, both to the crypto and non-crypto audience. Because in Japan, it's it's an island. Sometimes what's trending globally is not really trending in Japan. There's kind of information gap, and then Japan kind of has in that sense, Japan sometimes needs to catch up with the latest trend globally, and that gap is something I feel like we have to fulfill. The number of trading volumes at all the Japanese licensed exchanges, the number one, of course, BTC, number two, ETH, and I think globally, I think those are probably the same as the rest of the countries, but from like number 3 and number 4, it's Japan is showing some uniqueness, and basically number 3 is XRP, and number 4 is currently like a Dogecoin, and then like Sol. So the Sol is top 5 in terms of the trading volumes of the Japanese exchanges, but that also shows how much we can grow further coming years, and also. Well, no, I said we have had many connections with Japanese enterprises currently, but they don't really know that for example, the choice of Wall Street is becoming Solana, or how Solana it's being adopted by like major institutional investors or enterprises globally, like Visa, like MasterCard, BlackRock. The Japanese people don't necessarily know that part, and they because because of that, they have like many other options for them. The choice of chains for them. Well, I'm not gonna name that much, but it's not like the choice is not like between Solana or Ethereum, probably, which is the case in globally, but the choice is between Solana and many others now for the Japanese enterprises, and then that's something we should have to basically kind of correct in a way. The choice is becoming clear in terms of the metrics that Solana shows. How the DeFi ecosystem is strong. Obviously, the transaction speed and the how cheap the gas fee is. Those kind of things. We are gradually basically educating them for the past year, and it's just really the beginning. So lots of I don't know, by working as a country lead for Superteam Japan. Many good opportunities we have found in the Japanese market, and then still a lot more things to do. Yeah.
I would tell you the investor education standpoint, and this is true for both institutional and retail investors. I mean, that is still a major component of what we do here in the US as well, right? Like there's obviously folks native to crypto who understand the differences between the L1s, they speak our language. You can talk to them about multiple concurrent leaders on Solana, and you don't look like you've got three heads. And I find that having conversations like that among I'm just going to say pick your random portfolio manager here in the US is certainly well, you shouldn't be having that conversation basically. You just have to meet investors, again, both retail and institutional investors where they are, and that's been one of the areas I've been focused on at least over the last month or so, and hope to continue over the course of the back half of the year. And sounds like a similar dynamic among Japanese investors as well, which is just meeting them at their level of understanding.
Yeah, well, we're certainly early in a number of regards, not just the industry, but and Solana itself. But as Hisashi said, just Solana entering the Japanese market, and then Superteam Japan also still being relatively young, all things considered. So I guess maybe it would be good too to paint the picture for listeners. When do you guys want to tell the story as to how this all came to be? I mean, I know I mentioned that we've all once worked together at Kraken, but yeah, I think it would be good to tell the lore, if you will, behind Superteam Japan and DFDV coming together and deciding to work together on DFDV Japan.
Yeah, I can jump in there, and I'd love maybe Hisashi's recollection of it as well. But we very early when we announced Treasury Accelerator, I think actually maybe before we announced it, we were like, "Hey, we want to launch in Japan." We love the other markets we've announced in, but like we were very adamant, like Japan's going to be a giant market for us. We need to launch in Japan. And so our criteria was basically, all right, grab a list of all the people that we worked with within Kraken Japan, and let's go talk to them. And so we basically ran through that list. And fun story, Hisashi, when he was at Kraken Japan, would translate Pete's Kraken intelligence reports into Japanese. And so we talked to Hisashi pretty early on. I was out in Japan a number of weeks back, and they were kind enough to have me on stage at the Superteam Japan conference and Super Tokyo, I guess it was. And we had me, Hisashi, and Shigeru had a long meal together and really bonded over our shared views of the space, the direction of Solana, of the direction of crypto in general, a bunch of different things. And so it really just felt right, like, the right people to work with. And ultimately, if you have the luxury, and I'm not saying we do, but, generally speaking, if you have the luxury to work with, anybody, you typically just favor working with people that you like and people that are top caliber. And Hisashi and Shigeru are, excellent people. We love working with them. I love just hanging out with them, and they're very top-notch, high caliber people. So that's kind of the backstory a little bit, and some of the thinking behind what we're doing.
Oh, dude, I'm so jealous because when I was at KBW, had the opportunity to go out for drinks with Hisashi, but it was like I had a dinner that completely ran over. I had to be up early the next day, so I had to bail on it. But I am so glad that you obviously had the opportunity to hang with them and get to know them. That's super cool.
It's a good time.
Yeah, definitely next time, DK.
Please,
Yes,
if you're ever in New York, you are literally welcome over to my house, and we can have some drinks and barbecue or something.
nice. Yes, we have to do this. And yes, yeah, we had me and Shigeru Sato is also one of the core members for of DFDV JP, and we had a really good talk with Parker when he was in Tokyo. We also thought that Parker and DFDB have big vision. And then we know that they are serious about growing the Solana ecosystem, and they are already showing that to by conducting lots of new initiatives, many in DeFi space, and then I mean this is DFDB is the original Soldat, right? And then that's like that's an innovation, right? So we also liked we talk like every day now. We are also like working with Parker and DFDB folks, and also I had a chance to talk to Phlegmatic people in Korea during KBW. When after talking to DK on that day, I had a fun time with Fan, and I also I felt like they are also a good partner to work with, and that's really good. And also, not only like Parker said, when I was at Kraken Japan, I was basically the head of communication, and I basically localized Kito's Kraken intelligence, and then and there's like also interesting part is the guy who published kept publishing that localized piece was Shigeru on CoinDesk.
Did
So
not know that. That's cool.
so Shigeru was the former editor in chief at CoinDesk Japan, and I was not Kraken, and then I was localizing Pete research, and then Shigeru said it was one of the most popular articles at CoinDesk Japan, and that's why he kept coming back to me. And when's the next research piece from Pete? So that was he was there as well.
That's amazing. One other fun little tidbit. So you'll see the logo of DFDV Japan, and it's not exactly the same as the logo for DFDV US. And that logo is actually our very original logo. It was the very first draft. Our designer sent it over, and my response back to her was literally, "I like it, but this looks too Japanese." So when we, started thinking about doing DFDV Japan, I was like, "Oh, sweet! Like we can revive the old logo." So in some ways, DFDV Japan is the original DFDV.
The lore, it's so good.
Well, that's actually incredible. Funny how it works. I guess this was meant to be after all, huh?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, thanks for providing the just the overview as to like how DFDV Japan came to be. I think with that said, talked a lot about a number of different things. It would be great to hear, to the extent we can go into any kind of detail, just more about the near-term priorities for DFDV Japan. Like, are there any kind of early milestones or announcements or anything that really listeners should be watching for, could maybe get excited about?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious first one is, where's the ticker symbol? Where's the stock to trade? So we need to get that over the line. We're hyper focused on that. And then, we'll be announcing that when we can. And then from there, you can expect us to run a Japanese flavor of the DFDV playbook. So if you see us, if you followed us over the last 6 months, and we actually just hit our 6-month milestone a couple days ago, which is wild to think about. But if you followed us at all over the last 6 months, you can expect to see some of those things, or a lot of those things, applied to the Japanese vehicle, and hopefully just speed run. So what took us 6 months to do hopefully only takes them 3 months to do. But the first step obviously is getting the vehicle.
Yeah, and that's just want to drive home that point. What took us 6 months will take a fraction of the time, and I think that's really like what we ultimately tried to remind folks about the Treasury accelerators, kind of like the value prop. It's like DFDV's gone through hell and high water since launching. We figured things out sometimes the hard way, and it's nice to be able to kind of pass those lessons and learnings on to other entities and help them get up to speed and just moving a little bit more quickly. Awesome. Well, just want to transition over things a little bit. Maybe we can, we talked a lot about the Japanese market and DFDV Japan and how Superteam and DFDV came together to make that all happen. But Hisashi, maybe would love to hear a little bit more about Solana adoption. It's grown a lot in Japan from developers to institutions. I know you kind of hit on some of the institutions earlier. I just curious to hear your thoughts as far as what do you think DFDV Japan will represent in terms of like the next phase of growth and of Solana in Japan.
Yes. I guess Japanese markets, Japanese markets really value like trust and tradition, like this continuous, like basically like human relationship. And if DFDV Japan finds the vehicle and then can finally work as a public company, that's already like big step forward. Because Superteam Japan is great, but at the same time, from the perspective of Japanese like institutions, basically they don't know. They don't. I mean, they know Superteam Japan, but like, what is it, right? for the Japanese institutions, and then we did a great job of educating them about Solana so far. But to move next to even go further, working working as a public company in Japan, and and then if we can do basically similar thing like ecosystem education, Solana ecosystem, like a contribution to the Solana ecosystem as a public company, that's like already a huge difference, because that's already comes with like this kind of trust and lots of like different kind of networks, I think. And then if like actually Superteam Japan had a deal with Minna Bank, which is the Japan's first digital bank and subsidiary of the Fukuoka Financial Group, which is basically the largest regional banking group in Japan. We have that deal, and if like if Superteam Japan together we can if we can help make those kind of deals with DFDV JP, the public company, it's it's a good way to recognized in the Japanese market. strong partnership with Japanese, giant companies. That's the way to basically get trust and lots of recognitions, acknowledgement. Yeah, and if DFDV Japan can, if DFDV Japan become, they are basically reliable, trusted, reliable point of contact for them, for the banks, the payment companies like telecoms. Then I would say that's that's a huge win, and that's something we can aim for the as a kind of next step, how to say. And yeah, also I guess the the uniqueness of Soldat business is, whatever we do through let's say partnership with Japanese enterprises, whatever we do is going to be like basically evaluated in the market, right? And it is the market who kind of likes it or not. There's like the judge is the market, right? So that's also that's a good step forward. Currently, I love what we're doing at Superteam, but the kind of the question is, I keep asking is who is like basically judging the quality of the deal. Let's say we can make lots of deals as in Superteam Japan, and that's great. But who is who is the final judge? We don't have that kind of mechanism. So yeah, with the DFDV Japan, the Soldat, potentially public company, that's gonna be it's gonna be the market judgment. So that's also exciting part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's I've always said that like the purpose of a DAT is to, of course, accumulate the underlying crypto asset, but there's also this element of education and onboarding and innovation. And I'm personally really excited, to your point, to see DFDV Japan, amongst other things, really push things forward in terms of education and helping people learn more about the ecosystem. And there's most certainly a lot of advantages and perks to realize as a result of being the first one to do that, for your respective geography. So yeah, excited to see how DFDV Japan pushes forward on that front and the impact that you'll have. Cool. I know we're coming up on time. And of course, for those in the audience who have questions, feel free to send them our way. Before I think we kind of close out, start to wrap up here. I think it would be good. I think I see some new faces in the audience. Parker, DK, whoever, to give some more context as far as how we envision DFDV Japan contributing to SPS growth, SOL per share growth, and just overall shareholder value. And I think in answering that, so like it'll make a little bit more sense for folks as to why we are working and playing a part in helping spin up DFDV Japan, how the incentives truly are aligned to help them get up off the ground running as quick as possible.
Yeah. So I've said this before, but the holy grail of a DAT is infinitely accretive asset per share growth. right? So you can sell equity, you can run the ATM at a 2x NAV multiple, and great, that's 50% accretive, for each dollar raised. But if you can generate free cash flow, which flows into SOL per share, without selling any shares, then it is perfectly and purely accretive. Funny enough, that's what a business does, right? And so what we're building here is not strictly a giant pot of SOL that's, maybe staked. We're building a business. We're building a Solana business to grow SOL per share, both organically and inorganically. And so organically, that would be all of our sources of yield, staking, running the validators, DeFi stuff, so on. But that also includes these franchising agreements and these, international launches. So the way the deals are loosely structured, no two deal is exactly alike, although there's lots of similarities, is we are typically investing in the earliest round, in some cases before the initial pipe, if you will. So you see these deals in the US, a bunch of money's raised. Well, the analogy to some of these other deals would be like we actually get in before that. In addition to the equity stake, and we're taking, in many cases, in some cases, taking a decent size investment there, so we have a decent stake. There's a franchising agreement. So a annual fee, or paid monthly, but annual fee, whether that's paid in cash or stock or what have you, coming from that DAT and flowing to DFDV US. And that is in exchange for all the services we provide. And the benefit, of course, to the foreign DAT is, hey, they don't have to go hire as many people. They can grow faster. There's all these benefits, but we are also capturing some of those benefits back for our shareholders. So kind of a win-win, but all the value that flows back, whether that's the equity in the business or whether that's the ongoing fee, that is purely SOL per share accretive. Our business could be stuck at 1x MNAV for a long time, and we would be able to grow SOL per share through deals like this. So we're pretty excited about it. It's another leg on the stool, if you will, to grow the business without just always having to tap the capital markets.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I think we've said this over and over again, and it was certainly our view from the beginning that the MicroStrategy model is a necessary but no longer sufficient condition for success, right? Simply copy pasting the MSTR model is not innovation, it's definitionally just a copy paste. So this was something that we had, contemplated fairly early on as one of the, I'm going to say, innovations for SOL per share growth beyond just tapping that, MNAV capital issuance playbook that frankly everyone is tapped into. And I like it again because it is as Parker put it, like a almost purely SPS accretive way to to go about this. The other reality to this, of course, is that frankly, the more Solana DATs that are out there, the more demand there's going to be for SOL, the asset, which is just positive overall, obviously for our treasury. And then, of course, the more that can get deployed on chain, the more that the ecosystem will thrive, and the more that Solana will thrive. So it sort of made a lot of sense to pursue this. I'm going to call it like purely SPS accretive route for our SPS growth, but also for helping control our own destiny in some ways. And I sort of view this as every major region really deserves its own on-chain treasury champion, and this is a really cool opportunity to do that in regions that we're bullish on, and also with teams that we're very bullish on.
Double bullish. Damn. All right.
Well, someone's got to be. No, I'll Great points. Well said. Yes, this is another one of the treasury accelerators that I'm super excited for on multiple levels. But of course, excited to see both teams put in the work and return some value back to shareholders, and of course, keep pushing SPS higher.
You can't leave us if DFDV Japan becomes bigger than DFDV USP. You got to stay at with the US company.
I don't know. If they offer me a free trip over to Japan, I might have to take it.
It begins.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know we're coming up at time here. Before we close out, Hisashi, I wanted to just give you the opportunity. Is there anything that stands out? Anything you're particularly excited about for the future of Solana and DFDV, Japan's role in that vision?
Yeah. Yes. Probably something I already said. Yeah. I think it's new. It's a new Solana ecosystem development phase that Japan is also witnessing. No, it's if no, it all makes sense if like DFDV Japan, as running Soldat in Japan, it all makes sense because everything that's needed for our current activities in Japan is there basically. It comes with trust. Lots more like I guess talent and networks coming together, resources, and it's gonna be I think it's gonna be like an evolution of what we are already doing in Japan, and we can become more effective in the Japanese market. It's also the new development in terms of how the ecosystem like company should be structured. Superteam, it's a great innovation, and then I like that vision. Of course, but even to accelerate more, so that makes sense, and and then that's something Japan needs at this current stage. People just started recognizing the difference between BTC and Soldat, for example, and it's just our beginning. So super excited about the future of the Solana in Japan and how DFDV Japan can contribute to that. And then I'm just super excited to work with you guys.
We are psyched to work with you too. The honor's all ours. Seriously.
No, we are also honored. So thank you.
No, we are more honored. All right.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. Everyone's excited. Looking forward to it. Thanks everyone for attending. Of course, be sure to give Hisashi a follow, Superteam Japan a follow, the DeFi Dev Corp _JP Twitter account a follow as well. Keep an eye out for more updates from them, more updates from us. We're going to keep pushing forward, keep innovating, growing SPS, all that good stuff, and we're always around, of course, as always. If you have any kind of questions, comments, concerns, anything, please send us our way. We pride ourselves on being an open book and taking in all feedback, even if we might not necessarily agree with it. So Yeah, with that said, we'll close out here. Thanks everyone for attending in service of SPS growth. This is Pete signing out. See everyone.
Yeah.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. See you.